I heard a scream coming from my sister. I heard a thud. Little.
Okay, could you describe this sound for us?
Okay. It was about this loud.
I heard the scream echoing in my mother's room. I saw nothing but a severe mental crisis. I was 12 years old. I had to face the pain of a loved one and the truth. It is a heartbreaking story that seemed to be in hell and could not be overcome. If you don't have enough courage, quickly scroll through this video. The following story will be very horrifying. This is my story as a child. I am Collier Landry, the 12-year-old boy that the following story is related to my life and painful memories. I heard the screaming from my mother's room. It was a scream full of fear, and as it echoed, I felt utterly panic. I dared not check what was happening. I could only stand still, trapped in my fear and always living in fear. I lived in Mansfield, Ohio, with my father, Jack, and my newly adopted sister, Elizabeth. My father was a well-known figure in the community, known for his reputation as a top doctor. However, despite his social standing, my father was a completely different person in the family. He was temperamental and erratic, often abusing me. One day, while I was engrossed in playing video games, I became the victim of my father's rage. I recall that my father often mentally tortured me. These things were not a secret to anyone. Yet, Jack never had to face the consequences until he introduced his mistress to me, showing off her ring. After recognizing the ring, I was sure something was wrong. My mother, Noreen, had reached her limit. Her husband's betrayal was one issue, but the fact my father dragged me into his affair was the last straw. Thus, my mother filed for divorce. She planned to leave Ohio and start a new, quieter life far away. One night, I was awakened by screams from my parents' bedroom. I did not move an inch. I tried to understand what was happening. The next morning, I summoned the courage to leave my room and confront Jack. I couldn't believe that my mother would leave me alone. But before I could ask my father, I noticed something strange about the house and ran upstairs. I took the cordless phone, went into my mother's closet, and locked the door. I recalled. I dialed a friend of my mother's and said, "I need you to call the police." I remembered how scared my mother was. I couldn't believe I would have to face life without my mother from that point on. When the police arrived, Jack simply said that he and Noreen had argued, and she had left home. He insisted on knowing who called the police, and when he took his anger out on me, I revealed it was one of Noreen's friends. I confessed, "I think my father just killed my mother, and I am terrified for my life." At this point, Noreen had been declared missing, and my statement became more credible over time. However, I was just a child, and even David Messmore, the initial detective who trusted me, was easily fooled by the situation. But when I came to Messmore with a new lead, a connection between my father and a woman named Sherry, the detective realized someone was opposing him. All these details forced Messmore to remove Collier from Jack's house and continue the investigation. After weeks of investigation, trials, and numerous testimonies, including my own, the jury finally delivered their verdict. They found John F. Boyle Jr., my father, guilty of murdering Noreen Boyle. Despite the outcome, Jack adamantly maintained his innocence, his disbelief profound. However, for me, this was a step towards closure and justice for my mother. After those horrific events ended, I felt as though I was directionless and spiraling into despair. However, a part of me never gave up hope. With the support of the surrounding community, I sought faith to overcome the pain and begin a new chapter of my life. The recovery process was not easy. It demanded patience, courage, and faith. I learned to forgive my father, not because he deserved it, but because I deserved peace and happiness. Forgiveness did not mean forgetting, but it allowed me to liberate myself from the shackles of the past. In my darkest times, I found God within my soul. You might ask how I encountered God? The answer is through silence. In moments of stillness, I perceived the presence of God, like a mysterious force, a ray of light in the darkness, guiding me through hardships. With God's help, I found myself no longer trapped in the pain. I learned to seek joy and happiness in the smallest things of life. I learned that, no matter how many challenges life poses, God's presence and love are always by my side. If there is advice I would like to give to everyone, it is to trust the power within you. Believe that, no matter how tough life is, you can overcome and find the light at the end of the tunnel. Whatever you're going through, know that you are not alone. God is always with you, guiding you through the hardest moments. Lastly, I want to say to those who are suffering, open your heart to God. No matter what faith you belong to, know that there is a higher power than you, always ready to help you face any challenge. And remember, nothing can defeat love and faith.